Говорим, реакция мнений. Сейчас будет конспирология. Причем конспирология не такая, как политика, там, подтасовки, какая-то херня мелкая, а конкретно то, что касается вообще каждого из нас. Эффект Манделы. Если не знаете, что это такое, загуглите. Эффект Манделы. Ну, снизу кину ссылку еще на группу Эффект Манделы ВКонтакте. Там перечислены все эффекты, которые проявляются как эффекты этого эффекта. Потому что это не один эффект, а множество. А, грубо говоря, это изменение реальности наглядно. То есть человек помнит реальность такой, а оказывается что-то по-другому. Там так же самое и карты это касается и всего. Ну, карта это, если учитывать, что Земля плоская, то несоответствие картам это мелочи. Ну, самое важное это то, что в медиапространстве происходит. Как, например, сейчас из «Звездных войн» было раньше «Люк, я твой отец». А теперь просто «No, I'm your father». Нет, я твой отец. То есть слово «Люк» исчезло. Обращение. Такое дружественное. Люк, типа «сынок». Нет. Теперь его нет. Так же самое группа Queen. У них есть песня «We are the champions». И теперь во всех записях «Of the world» в конце была. Такая присказка, типа он спел, а потом «Of the world» и все, и конец песни. Теперь это все убрали. Теперь просто «We are the champions». Но у меня на дисках осталась старая версия, то есть ничего не изменилось. Поэтому тут вариант неизвестен. Изменяется реальность или не изменяется. Вот сейчас буду смотреть человека, который будет долго рассказывать про изменение тела. Потому что, например, я из биологии старой помню, что грудина у нас была менее защищена, чем сейчас. Сейчас намного вот это вот срастание ребер стало жестче. К ударам мы стали крепче. Как есть вот тот мем, что такой чувак с квадратной головой, типа изобрели человека, который не боится автокатастроф. Вот примерно то же самое с нами происходит. Возможно. Потому что даже по теории плоской Земли, не канонической, считается, что Земля, возможно, живой организм и растет. Поэтому и изменения всей биологии могут происходить. А учитывая даже просто физику, что все мы состоим из волновых функций, любую волновую функцию, какую-то переменную можно изменить, растянуть, удлинить, в общем, все от частоты вибрации зависит. Вроде как есть такая частота Шумана, и она меняется. Не знаю, как ее мерить, потому что это надо приборами конкретными. Но, в принципе, она меряется. И изменение этой частоты влияет на всю биологию, на все живое. Соответственно, тут даже с точки зрения науки, в принципе, все возможно. Если мы волновая функция, ну, вообще, любое движение частиц, не частиц, чего-либо, это движение материи. Или... Давайте, все есть энергия, но есть как бы материальное проявление энергии, материя, в общем. Более уплотненная энергия, там будем считать материя. И какая-то частота вибрации у нее есть. Если ее менять, значит будет меняться и сам вид. Ну это так, это уже лирика. А сейчас послушаем конкретного человека, который хиропрактикой занимается. Костоправ, в общем. Он расскажет.
Stick with me as we talk about all the changes that have happened to the human body after the Mandela effect.
То есть это человек, который непосредственно каждый день кости щупает.
For some new viewers that don't know, I'm actually a chiropractor, so I do some health stories from time to time. Now, I want to start off by saying, obviously, this is not an anatomy lesson. The anatomy is what it is today, and I would sound crazy to be like, no, that's not what it is. What the argument is that I have a very different memory from my childhood of what anatomy used to be compared to when I went to school and my practice. I feel like it changed sometime in the 90s because I went to school, chiropractic school I started in the late 90s. But in high school, in junior high, and I think even a piece of college, I feel like they were still teaching a lot of this information. And it feels very familiar to me. This is a big problem with the Mandela effect, is that you can't really figure out an exact time. I mean,
Тут проблема эффекта Манделы, что часть помнит, а часть не помнит. Происходит или слитие, смешение реальностей, или даже замена памяти. Ну, пока доказать тяжело. Но насчет анатомии я вижу, что изменения есть. Даже это можно посмотреть потом, как люди стали больше тягать тяжести. Сейчас рекорды мировые бьются по бегу, там по всему, и в том числе по поднятию тяжести. Это не просто так, это нельзя списать только на гормональные препараты, которые были в 90-х. А конкретно и физиология меняется у людей.
I have certain time periods I remember, but I can't always pinpoint the exact time. So I'm going to say this is probably a change that happened in the late 90s, and for some reason we're starting to remember it now. There's a lot that's happened to the body, and you'll see I'm definitely not the first person to make these videos. In fact, I watched a couple of them to get up to speed on what they thought, and most everything I agree with. There's a couple memories I don't have. We'll talk about those, and there's some new ones I have that I don't hear anyone else talking about. So let's get into it. The first place we're going to start is the skull. So let's start by diving into the skull. That's a good joke. All right, let's take a look here. This old reality skull this is what I remember. Now, I'm sure people will say, well, it's just an old anatomy book and maybe things have changed since then. Yeah, but this is what I remember, and a lot of other people remember. So this is what I'm going to put up, is the best picture I could find. Now, my girlfriend actually...
Не, ну можно сказать, что это упрощенная модель, да. Типа, тут не хватает деталей, поэтому это, ну, я думаю, он не просто так это рассказывает.
When we started, is how different the skull shapes are. You noticed in the old reality, the skull looks like a normal head. It's human, it's round. And then you look at this one, in the new reality, it's all oblong. Especially in the back here. It looks more like an alien head than a human. Look at this thing. So, that was kind of the first, okay, something's different. Also, what we noticed is the jawbone. My girlfriend's a dental hygienist, and she kept saying, look at the jaw. And she's right, because the jaw looks very different. The new reality, the jaw has a much thicker ramus of the mandible here. And also it kind of articulates different too.
Ну, тут можно, конечно, сказать, что черепа-то отличаются и у рас, и в том числе строение ниже челюсти тоже сильно отличается. Поэтому, типа, ну, кто будет против того, что вот он рассказывает, да, как аргумент я такое принимаю, потому что у каждой расы свое строение и черепа в частности, и челюсти. Возможно, ну, форма должна быть примерно одинаковая, а вот количество костной ткани разное. Это раз. А во-вторых, ну, черепа, да, не, ну у каждой расы вроде они по-разному все-таки. Кто-то, ну, кроме тех, что специально вытягивают с детства, это совершенно другой момент.
Big things I'm seeing talked about in the forums is this indentation in the temporal region. You don't really see it much here, but it's, you know, it's where the masticating muscles attach. Now, people were saying they have no memory of this kind of indentation, and that the zygomatic arch, as well as the temporal process, these are much more prominent now. And I'd have to agree with that. The other issue is the styloid bone, which we're going to get to in the next slide here, but you can kind of get an idea that this right here, the styloid bone is much bigger than the old one. Like, it looks like it doubled in size.
Хорошо, это крепче мы стали.
One thing as a chiropractor, when you feel this area and you're feeling for the atlas transverse process,
то есть нам укрепляют.
It's really easy to mix it up with the styloid process.
По сути, эффект Манделы, можно сказать, перепрошивкой, обновлением, накатыванием патча на нашу матрицу. Если компьютерным языком выражаясь. То есть, если мы живем в игре, а возможно мы и живем в какой-то типа симуляции компьютерной игры, а сами где-то лежим там, как в матрице, и летим покорять другие галактики, а у нас просто тут мирок такой закрытый, чтобы мы с ума не сходили и не теряли себя, то почему бы и нет, накатывают патчи. Ну, значит, наше настоящее тело выглядит не так. То есть это не наше тело, в котором мы сейчас живем.
And you can see that in the new reality, why that would be. It's practically sitting on top of the transverse process of the atlas bone. Another big one, which you probably already heard this, but I'm going to put it out there in case you haven't, is the eye sockets have changed a lot. In the old reality, they were much more open. Some people were saying there's absolutely no bone at all in them. I kind of remember there's being some bone on the edge, but the very back being a large open hole where the...
Ну, вот, насчет старых черепов, там была вроде, ну, то, что глазницы пустые, они просто разваливаются со временем. Там типа какие-то тонкие были кости, типа, вот такие не сильно толстые, что со временем старые черепа полностью становятся безглазыми. А это типа новый вариант, что тут есть для глазниц конкретная кость.
The optic nerves came out, and you can kind of get an idea compared to the new ones where it's just like a little slit where the optic nerves run out, and this whole area
лучше, конечно,
is protecting you with bone. And I remember that people would die a lot easier if they got eye injuries, because
даже если вам копье прилетит в глаз, оно не прогнет мозг. Ну, глаз вытечет, понятное дело, но в мозг не пробьет. Ну, не знаю, зачем это сейчас надо в данный момент. Это нас к войне, что ли, готовят?
It would affect their brain directly, where here they have some sort of protection with bone. I really don't remember that. I think that's a big change that's got some people freaked out. And you'll see a lot of this still in old TV shows and movies. Now, a lot of those are models, so they're kind of what they think the skeleton is. But the old black and white movies used real bones. And you'll see that there are big black gaping holes where the eye sockets used to be in the old black and white movies. They're still out there, the residual. Let's take another look at the skull a little deeper. Now, just kind of ignore the writing around the pictures, because some of these pictures I had to flip and move around so you could see a good side-by-side. But what I can tell you is the parietal and the occipital bones are different. So this is the old reality, and this is the new reality.
Старая реальность, новая реальность.
And you'll see that this suture is very different. The occiput here, occipital bone, goes all the way around, where here it kind of stops at the mastoid process. It's like a cap on the back. And again, the head is round and looks like a normal human, and here it looks like some sort of alien. Look at that. It's all weird. Again, this is a good view of the styloid process. In the new reality, it's super long. It almost, in this picture, it looks like it's touching the mandible. It doesn't, but it looks like it. And here it's so much shorter. So you can really notice a big difference on that one. I learned anatomy, all through my childhood. I was always interested in it, all the way through high school and all the way into college. I took a lot of anatomy in college. And then years later, I get into chiropractic school, and part of me goes, maybe I learned something different. They're showing me different things, but I never really thought much about it because, this is a doctoral program, so surely they're right. And that was it. There was never really a big disconnect in my mind about things. Before I forget to mention, there is a channel called Moneybag73 that has a bunch of great stuff on the Mandela effect. Just about anything new that comes up, I find it over there. He's also got an interesting story about the skulls. You should go check his channel out if you haven't, and go subscribe. So go ahead and check that out after you're finished with this video. Now we've talked about the skull some, let's talk about the rest of the skeleton, because there's some big changes, and there's a couple, like I said, I found that I don't hear anyone else talking about, so let's get to that. Now I'd like to talk about the upper torso.
Вот, то, что я
This
заметил.
is a rendering that's floating around the internet of kind of what people remember as the old reality skeleton versus the new reality. And this is what my memory was from my childhood. Now, I remember skulls looking a lot more like this than like this. That being said, there was a big difference.
Ну, кстати, я не совсем согласен. Мне кажется, голова, вот, ну, кроме глазниц, тут сильно какое-то на обезьяну похоже. Сильно, все-таки я больше такое помню. А вот нижняя часть, да, вот это вот новая, а вот это старая. Мне так кажется. Ну, надо сравнивать. Иначе бы у нас вещи, ну, вещи, не знаю, может, тоже изменяются вместе с нами. Иначе, если бы такое изменение было, как бы грудь стала крепче и шире, может, она в объеме не сильно, но в любом случае крепче стала, то должны были и вещи на нас маленькими стать. Ну, это так. Хотя там, может, сантиметров 5 разницы, не больше.
In the shoulders. The shoulder was just kind of like one big plate. Yeah, you had collarbones and stuff, but it didn't have all the articulations and the processes that the new shoulder blades have. They seem smaller. I'm going to keep referring to this because it seems to me like this is almost more monkey-like. If you look at chimp spines and stuff, you're going to see that we kind of have more monkey stuff going on in the old spine. Now, one thing that I don't remember that's kind of inaccurate here is there was a manubrium and a sternum right here down to about the second or third rib, and then a lot of this was just a cartilage plate.
Да.
Where in the new rib cage, this sternum goes down way further than I remember. So that kind of,
сейчас, наоборот, меньше
I'm
стало,
gonna have
или
to
как?
look at that anatomy up there because I don't remember it going that far. With the old reality, the ribcage was a lot bigger, and all that was in here was the lungs. Like, we had larger lungs, and the diaphragm, and maybe a little bit of the liver was in there, but pretty much everything was under the
Ты что,
diaphragm.
думаешь, наоборот? Сейчас, наоборот, больше стало, нет? Ну, утверждает обратное.
And it was all lung in here, where the new one feels like they push the organs up into the rib cage more. There's like kidneys in there and liver and spleens, and yeah, there was a little bit, but now like almost all organs in there. It's very different. Another big thing people are talking about is the floating ribs. Now I kind of remember ribs like this, where
Да, раньше все жаловались, что при неумелом оказании вот это, когда кто-то подавился, или ну, подавился можно сзади, а при откачивании утопленника, если давить на ребра, то они легко ломались. Или при массаже сердца, что легко ребро было, потому что нижние ребра были плохо присоединены.
They came around and they really didn't attach to much in the front. They were actual floating ribs.
Да.
Once in a while they would say that, you know, it would grow into the cartilage depending on the person.
Да, только вращения были.
But when I went and got my training as a doctor, this is what we learned, and this is what I remember, because, you know, one of the things about chiropractic is you want to be careful adjusting this area because it can be really uncomfortable to a patient to adjust the floating ribs. So at some point this changed, but I definitely remember this old reality, and maybe if you've looked at it now, that this might start resonating with you.
Да, отличается. Все-таки как-то у меня среднее между ними. И еще, говорят, сердце сейчас увеличилось намного. Раньше оно было меньше, всегда показывали с левой стороны вот так, а теперь оно по центру. Оно и тогда говорили, что вы неправильно показываете, и вот это, то, что вы показываете, это не сердце, а жопа, а сердце оно большое, там, и так далее. Но все равно сейчас оно еще больше, чем по сравнению с тем, что было.
One other quick thing about the rib cage is when we were young, we were taught that women had more ribs than men. There was that whole Adam and Eve thing going on, that Adam gave a rib away. Now, some people say that that was a misteaching by the church that pushed it into government schools. Who really knows? But that's what I remember as a kid, that women had more than men. Something else I forgot to mention is a lot of people are discussing this area here. Some people say that we had another bone coming off here, like a cervical rib, a long one that used to connect to the shoulder blades. And here you'll see the appearance of the, the first ribs coming through under the collarbone. And this...
Что-то я как-то тут не согласен. Мне кажется, тут непрактично, ни на чем шея не держится, а тут нормально. Ну, это хорошо, это типа современная модель, но про количество ребер вроде одинаково должно быть мужчина и женщина. Мы не сильно-то отличаемся, кроме половых и гормонального фона.
And the old reality, the collarbones used to tilt down more. Now this effect is obviously because, the skeleton's looking forward, but this is give you a good idea what I meant, that it was bent a lot more. Where in the new reality it's straighter. The next part of this, we're going to explore the lower body. Now, before I forget, and I'm not really showing a picture of it, some people said that we only had a tibia bone on the leg. I don't have any memory of that, so I'm not including it, but some people think the fibula never existed. That being said, let's get into the rest of this.
Это мужской, наверное, все-таки скелет.
The lower back and the pelvis look a little different. Now, in the old reality, they didn't have the big, strong transverse processes sticking out. But what really screwed me up, and I remember this really well, is the sacrum was a lot skinnier and looked a lot more like a monkey's. It wasn't this big, thick triangle. And this bothered me a lot, so much that in a minute I'm going to stop this and go into this much deeper. But let me finish this thought out. I keep coming back saying we look more monkey-like. If you look at the humerus and the wrist, here they're almost the same size, just like a monkey. Usually monkeys actually have a longer wrist bones, where the new reality, our humerus is longer. Also, our hips were more kind of like a monkey, where the acetabulum and especially the hip bone going in right here are more at an angle, more flat. They're more horizontal than if you look at the new reality, how they're much more angled. So let me go talk about the sacrum, because that is really bugging me. I spend a good time of my practice also working on low backs and tailbone pain, so I know my sacrums really well.
Ага, ну он про копчик говорит, что он за копчика отвечает. Наверное, клиенты приходят именно массажировать копчик. Но я скажу, у меня есть 2 спинномозговые грыжи, и если на патч сделали, то пусть они и грыжи уберут, суки. А то патчат, а болезни остаются.
This is how I remember the old sacrum looking. It was much more like a chimp. And in fact, this picture you're looking at is a chimp bone, because I can't seem to find any picture from the old reality that still looks like this. But this is what my memory looks like. It was much thinner than this big, bulky, triangle-looking sacrum.
Крестец.
Now, I'm going to tell you a story in a minute that helps accentuate this, but if this looks familiar to you, please leave a comment. I want to expand a little on that sacrum section. This is your sacrum, this tailbone thing, and I know my skeleton's in pretty bad shape. It's about 20 years old. But as I was saying before, there were some changes, like the obturator foramen. Some people are saying they were missing. I don't remember that. I always remember these holes being here. But what I do notice is the ischial tuberosities seem a lot thicker. This is where you sit on, by the way. Your tail. Some people call it your butt bone or your tailbone or whatever, but that's really your tailbone. But anyway, ischial tuberosities seem bigger. But like I was talking about, and I showed that picture where the sacrum was much thinner. It wasn't this big hawking triangle. Well, the reason I remembered that is I went sledding in high school and jammed my tailbone so bad that I broke some of it. And what happened is I went and got an x-ray. And the doctor's showing me the x-ray on film. And we're laughing because it looks like I have a monkey's tail. You know, there's like it was much thinner. It wasn't this big, thick sacrum like the pictures I have now. And I remember him telling me, "Oh, that's normal. Everybody has the monkey's tail."
Ну, внутри у нас типа хвост, копчика-то есть хвост редуцированный. Поэтому мы его ломаем. Он не торчать не должен по-хорошему.
And that's really bothering me. You know how, like, with the Mandela effect, something, you'll hear like 20 things and then one thing runs by that really bugs you, and the sacrum one really bugs me. The best examples I can find of the old skeleton is that old Vincent Price movie, House on the Haunted Hill. I'm going to link a clip, so you're going to see this little eye icon appear to the top right corner if you want to actually watch the clip. But you can get a better idea of what the skeleton looked like here, that they had a much bigger rib cage. There's the bent collarbones I'm talking about. And you noticed how long the wrists are compared to...
Ну, тут вообще на обезьяну похоже что-то. Скелет как не совсем человеческое, больше обезьяне вот в этой части.
The humerus. And you can sort of see the tailbone, the skinnier tailbone. It's so hard to tell on this. I can't tell completely, but you can definitely see the larger scapulas that are flat. Now, I am not positive if this is a real skeleton or not.
Нет, нереально. Думаю, это просто имитация.
Most likely it was a reproduction, but even if it was a reproduction, why did they make it like that? So I'm going to link the clip so you can watch this yourself. Now let's dive into the brain. Now, the brain seems to have changed too. Most notably is the cerebellum here. In the old reality, this pretty much went down into C1. It got really close, and some people, they would even say there was a big argument if that part of the brainstem went into C1 and 2 or not. This new reality, the cerebellum seems up and tucked back. It's a different shape, and it seems...
Ну, в принципе, если так, если патчем накатили, чтобы мозг мог, как у фараонов, туда вот идти. Больше. Для размера мозга запас делают.
It's kind of like crammed and pushed back. That's not the memory I have of it. It's almost like there's less frontal lobe and more brainstem area. You know, they put more room in the back. It's almost like more reptile brain and less, you know, thinking brain. As we get into the organs, let's start here with the stomach. Now, the esophagus just kind of empties straight down into the stomach. It turns a little bit in the old reality. And I wish I had a better picture for the old reality. I can't really find one, but this will give you a good idea that the stomach seems much more horizontal and on its side. And then it comes out and you go through, like, the duodenum wraps around the pancreas, and then it just goes right into the small intestines. And the new reality, you have an esophagus, and a lot of these pictures are showing this to make like a hard right angle. And then the stomach's much more vertical. It's not so horizontal. And then it spins around and it goes all the way around the pancreas. So I want to talk about that more. It seems like I was talking about that the organs got crammed a lot more in under the rib cage. This liver is now gigantic, and it looks like it pushed the stomach up to the left. Also, there seems to be less intestine as I remember. I seem to remember a lot more. Now, the food would have come out the stomach and started here in the small intestine and gone around the head of the pancreas, but then it would just turn down and go into the rest of the small intestines. In this reality, it turns all the way around and then does a U-turn right here. I mean, kind of terrible design is this, where everything here, you're just asking for stuff to get stuck, it feels like.
Лучше прямо вниз шел.
I don't have memory of this in the past. I remember it just going right into the small intestines and not going, you know, all the way left and then back to the right. Let's now talk about the heart. In the old reality, I remember the heart being much more left than it is now. You can see how it's left and almost on its side in the old reality. And in the new reality, it hangs down. It's a little A little bit left, sure, but not like this one. I want to talk about this more.
То есть никто не говорит, что оно маленькое было раньше. Но сейчас оно еще больше и по центру.
Now I'm going to offer you guys this and see if this resonates with you. If you went to government school, you learned the Pledge of Allegiance, and you always put your hand where? Left side, right? Cover your heart. You don't put it in the center. So why is that there? What is that about? Kind of doesn't make sense. We'd be doing it here. That's not what we do. We do here. The other thing that really strikes me is all the fiction and stories out there that revolve around the heart being on the left side. I remember certain vampire movies where they stab the vampire, but it's on the wrong side, and they don't kill him. They stab him in the center. They don't get him in the left side of the heart. They have to, the vampire stays alive and attacks the people and kills them, or somebody will get shot, and the doctor will say, well, you're lucky you got hit on the right, because if you got hit on the left, it would have killed you, gone through your heart. There's all these references to the heart being on the left. In this reality, yes, of course, the heart is a little on the left. But I'm talking about in the old reality, it was a lot further over on the left. So if you remember that, leave your comments below. I'd like to know what you think about the heart shifting places. Let's talk about the kidneys. This one really kind of bugs me. In the old reality, yeah, once in a while they'd be under the ribs. Part of them would go under the ribs.
Это менты должны лучше всего знать, где почки. И бандиты.
Looking at these before and after pictures of realities here,
это все
this
вместе.
is comical
Потому
how
что менты
high
остальные тоже.
these kidneys are in this picture. But let me give you a better picture so we can discuss this further. This is a little better representation of the kidneys. And you can see in the old reality, the right kidney is the lower one, and it would kind of hang in the rib cage a little bit. But in the new reality, practically the whole damn thing's in the rib cage.
Хорошо, защита, значит, есть.
They're much higher up into the body. Again, very unrealistic to what I remember. It feels like the organs were crammed up into the chest. I want to talk about this a little more, so let's do that. One thing I'd like to add about the kidneys is I remember learning about Lloyd's sign. Now, as a chiropractor, when someone comes in, you have to distinguish, are they having just musculoskeletal pain, or is this low back pain from an organ? Like, could it be a kidney stone or something? And there's a quick test you can do called a kidney punch, which is also called a Lloyd's sign, where you basically send a shock wave into the lower back. You put your hand, pop it in the low back.
На проверку на боль.
If that vibration hits a kidney stone or inflamed kidney, they'll come up out of their skin. It's a lot different reaction than someone with low back pain. Now, I remember watching these old videos where they were showing the training and they were punching in the mid-lumbars. They weren't punching at T12 where they do it now in the thoracic area. I wish I could find some old residual of that, so maybe some of you internet gurus can try to look up those old orthopedic tests, but I remember them being a lot lower in the back and not up into the ribs. A few things I have to mention. There's a couple of organs that I don't really have that much memory of changing, but people in the forums and stuff say they did change. In the brain, the corpus callosum, they said got a lot bigger. I can't really notice that. I didn't notice that one. Some people say the radial pulse changed, that they used to check it up in the arm, and now it's in the wrist. It's always been in the wrist for me, so I didn't see that change. And the addition of a fibula bone, which fibula's always been there for me, so I don't remember that. Let's talk about the new organ everybody's talking about, the mesentery. Now, this is my take on this. The mesentery's always been there. When we were in anatomy, I remember dissecting the mesentery proper, and it's basically connective tissue that holds your intestines in place, so if you stand up, they don't just fall out of you. What the big deal was is they realized that this intestine kind of can fold out into one big organ, And so they decided to designate it as an organ. So is this a Mandela effect that's brand new, like we grew an organ? I don't think so. I think it's just a reclassification of stuff that was already there. And I think so many people are just trying to find anything they can about the Mandela effect that they're just sticking it up there without realizing what it is. So I think like I said, the other changes happened, but I don't really think this is a big deal. They're just renaming stuff that's already there.
Переименование же такое дело.
This Mandela thing sounds completely crazy if it isn't happening to you. But thousands and thousands of people are having the same memories. So either we all had some terrible anatomy textbook growing up that was taught to us, or these changes were from a different time or a different reality. It would be one thing if it was just like me and maybe, someone else that saw some internet lore, you grow up with, some false memories that aren't quite right. But this is thousands of people now having memories of the body changing. So that's pretty major. If you are just waking up to this, you're not alone. There's a nice, good community out there that actually believes you and listens. So feel free to leave some comments below if you found some body changes that I didn't cover, because apparently there's new things that are popping up that people are finding. And feel free to ask any questions you have about that. I'll see.
Ну, говорят, что еще добавились у нас на черепе отверстия, которых не было. Как проколы. Примеры в тех местах, где обычно у нас пробивают отверстия, ну, вот эти все хипстеры, появились такие же отверстия. Или зазубрины. Ну, вот это проверять надо. Ну, а насчет Мандела эффект, надо... Факты есть, но пока эти факты только для медиасреды. Физически я пока не зафиксировал какого-либо сильного изменения. Может, я просто не понимаю, что оно произошло. Но именно по фильмам, по всему, вот эти изменения есть. И я думаю, благодаря торрентам в том числе, потому что стоит изменить там пару килобайт с одной неверной раздачи, ну, вернее, специально подмененной раздачи, можно скачать не ту версию фильма. И потом она разойдется по всему интернету, и ты уже старую, и она будет перекачивать старую. То есть, все. Это очень легко через торренты делать. Уверен, что хороший программист может так сделать, чтобы хэш файла сошелся. И файл будет подменен, по сути. То есть в медиа-среде, там музыку, фильмы, все, что касается вообще файлов, все можно подменить через торрент, и не только через торрент, просто вообще. Сейчас даже тот, кто держит, в любом случае держит не на дисках, а торрент, там просто файл. В общем, любой файл можно подменить, если захотите. Пару килобайт, там где-то какое-то другое дело, зачем это делают, то это вопрос, зачем они меняют. Или она сама меняется, или специально меняют. Скорее всего, специально меняют. И все становится какое-то угловатое. То есть теряет смысл изначальный посыл. Как в Форесте Гампе там была фраза тоже про коробку конфет. Типа мир это как коробка шоколадных конфет. Там не жуй сразу все или что-то типа того. А там как-то сделали ее теперь... мир это что-то там... Ну, короче... Фраза грубее стала. В общем, все как-то угловато становится тупым. Так же самое, как Люк, я твой отец, теперь стало нет, я твой отец. Как-то уже смысл изначально теряется. То есть все становится каким-то более грубым, более примитивным. Вот. И скелет вроде как тоже упрощают, укрепляют, делают его просто более дебелым. И ну, не все изменения, наверное, позитивные. Будем следить, это интересная тема. Кому интересно, всегда найдет изменения. Но дело в том, что тут проблема в том, что у каждого свои воспоминания. И не всегда они могут даже верны быть, потому что люди... свойство памяти такое, что то, что ты не повторяешь часто, ты забываешь. А если будешь пытаться вспомнить то, что было давно, то, скорее всего, последняя вещь, которая тебе напомнит об этом... если она была чуть-чуть неверная, как-то подтасована, то ты будешь уже думать, что было так-то. То есть у тебя воспоминания уже будут подмененные. В этом и свойство памяти. Так что тут тяжело просто эффект Манделы понять и согласиться с кем-либо, потому что у каждого свое мнение будет. Вот в этом именно. А может так и есть, что каждый со своей какой-то волны, чуть-чуть, каждый со своей стороны видел. А теперь это все воедино, и получилась какая-то грубая фигня. Будем наблюдать.